Welcome to episode 2 of my TBR series where I have to read all of the books that are behind me in these floor stacks in my bedroom. Because these are all the books that have been gifted to me from publishers and authors and events. And once I read them, I'm going to decide if I'm keeping them and transferring them to my beautiful bookshelves, or if I'm unhauling them, donating them, etc. This week we are starting with a grand total of 316 books. Indeed, more books than I started with in the first episode. This week, I'm going to go with something that's going to alleviate some stress for me. These 3 stacks right here are getting disastrously tall. I'm going to pick one of these 3 stacks and need to only read from that stack. So this here is stack 1, stack 2, stack 3. I'm gonna go with stack 3, even though it's the shortest. There's a bunch of titles that I just feel really excited about, and some little crybabies on top. In this stack, there is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22, 4, 6, 8, 32, 34 books. I just got the audiobook in from the library for The Invisible Hour, so we're starting with that one. I did start a couple chapters last week. Notice down here, there's actually 2 of the same book, the ARC, and one is the hardcover. I'm gonna start with Tripping Over You by Suzana, Harcum, and Owena White, because this is a graphic novel and I haven't read a graphic novel in ages. So maybe I can finish the audiobook of this one today or tomorrow. From there, I'm gonna start A Fire in the Sky. It means I get to read 1 book, but cross off 2.
I was able to get through the graphic novel and finish the audiobook really quickly as I was playing Tiny Bookshop the whole time, and then I was ready to switch to the next audiobook and really lock in. I just checked what else my library had available from this stack and picked out Together We Burn by Isabel Ibañez. I was pretty hyped because this book has dragons, and also it's very short.
The audiobook of this one, and I'm excited because that means another book for August. Started this one on ebook, so let's take it out of the stack.
The type of mood reader I am, and just for this challenge in particular, I really need to switch between audiobook, ebook, physical book to really keep my focus. Otherwise, I just get bored. I also need to switch environments a lot.
I have a tennis match in about an hour and a half, so I'm gonna read for an hour and then I'm gonna leave. I'm really enjoying Crash Test. I feel like the characters feel so real, like they're so developed and they're so emotional. I've been thinking about it all day and I can't wait to finish it. It makes me actually want to watch F1. And here's my fit for the tournament. Finish Crash Test. Now I'm trying to decide if I want to read Dream On or So Thirsty.
I pulled up both to see which one gripped me more.
I'm gonna go with So Thirsty because instantly at the beginning of the book, they were talking about how she is on the dawn of her birthday. They're planning things for her birthday. My birthday is next week, so I feel like that would be fun. Plus, it's September now. It's a vampire novel. Plus, it's short. Next audiobook will probably be The Macabre by Kasoko Jackson. Finished and focused for the week. Stack is getting shorter.
Right, to the tournament we go. It's a local neighborhood tournament and my game was at 8 p.m. so I was very tired, but I did bring my book with me while I waited. I've only been playing tennis for like a year and a half, so I'm pretty bad, but it's really fun. Next day, I kept reading and I watched Vampire Ambience YouTube Rooms.
Starting Dream On as I get ready for the day.
I really didn't know what to expect with this book. I hadn't read anything by this author or honestly heard anything about it, but I wasn't super hyped to read YA, wasn't in the mood, but it actually really gripped me. I ended up carrying the book with me everywhere all day, to the nail salon, to eat snacks, just like all around the house.
Halfway, it's like 7 p.m. I could stay up late and finish this. It's really good. Focus friend, music, no distraction, just snacks, read, boom, let's go.
Takis with chamoy has been my hyperfixation snack for like 3 years.
Last day of the weekly challenge of that stack. Starting tomorrow, I'm gonna do a fun birthday week challenge. It's the end of week 2. Before I dive into how many books I read, I didn't get to A Fire in the Sky or The Macabre, so we need to put these back in the stack. At the beginning of the week, this stack had 34 books in it, and now there's 28. Let's get into every book that I read. Here are all the books that I read this week. Get some Legally Blonde snaps up in here.
Okay, don't tell me you don't know what a snap cup is.
2 books that carried over from last week's theme of momentum. I try not to let books carry over, but life happens. I read The Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell. Liked it, didn't love it. This is gonna go in the unhaul pile. I read The Invisible Hour by Alice Hoffman on audio. I really love this one. This is the same author that wrote Practical Magic. Yes, like the movie, one of my favorite movies. It's all about a young woman who escapes to a cult when she's pregnant and her relationship with her daughter, and then her daughter as her daughter grows up, and there's some magical realism, and I just really, really enjoyed it. As someone who grew up in it, very religiously oppressed, I really just saw parallels to my own life, and I really, really like this one, so I'll be keeping this one. A graphic novel, Tripping Over You. But this one was really cute. It wasn't as deep as I was hoping it would go, but it was very cute. I am going to unhaul this one and pass it along to the next person. I said the audiobook of Together We Burn. I was very, very excited for this one because there's dragons, and who doesn't love dragons? But the dragons were more like the villains in this story, and that sounds exciting and fun, but I actually just felt kind of sad. Like, I like when dragons are the good guys, when they're almost like a pet and you get to ride them and they're fun. So I didn't really enjoy the way that the dragons were treated in this book or the way that the dragons acted, but it was a good story. I just wish I would have read the physical instead of done the audio, but I'm gonna unhaul this one because it wasn't my favorite. Then I got into Crash Test by Amy James. I wasn't even in the mood for a sports romance. I don't know anything about F1 besides like 3 of the drivers who are very handsome. But this book, this is it. This right here is like one of the best books I've read in a minute. The character development in the story between the male love interests, one in F1 and one in F2, was so good. They just were so emotional and so raw and so vulnerable and so realistic. And I really, really like this one, so I'll be keeping this one. And So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. This is a vampire novel. It was very short and sweet. I actually wish it was longer because I found myself really wondering more about how the vampires worked in this universe, their history. I just wanted a lot more backstory of how it all worked, as well as the characters. I just felt like I didn't get enough. I did really like it, but found it to be too short. You're into vampire stories, and on this side of the scale you have like Twilight and Vampire Diaries as far as like more wholesome and cheesy, and then on this side you have True Blood, which is like a little bit more dark and twisty and creepy. I would say it falls more here, like towards the True Blood side. So it's more of a creepy vampire, not like cutesy, fun, romantic vampire story. Not that there isn't romance, because there is, but it's just a different kind of vampire story. I don't think I'll reread it, so I'm gonna unhaul it. And my last read of the week was Dream On by Jennifer Hartman. I've never read any of Jennifer's books before. I cannot believe I read this in 24 hours because this is a thick book. I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did. It follows the love story of 2 characters who were in a high school play together. Both kind of have dark moments in their past, and they kind of connect over that and go through some trauma together. And then we fast forward into 4 years in the future. One of them is very famous. A bit of a fake dating plot. The thing about this book was cheesy. The characters had so much depth. I really, really was rooting for them the entire time, but there are a lot of content warnings. So if you're gonna read this book, I definitely suggest looking those up first. I am 100% keeping this one. And I want to read more Jennifer Hartman books now. Like, this sold me. 3 for the keep, 4 for the unhaul. For book mail this week, I also received 4 books. We'll go rapid fire through these. Gilded Heiress by Joanna Shupe. She Were Her by Elle, McNicoll. Falling Like Leaves by Misty Wilson. The sprayed edges are so cool. I am such a fall girly. I don't care. I'm a basic bitch. At least Akwaeke Emezi, one of my favorite authors. I am so excited to have this in my hands. Son of the Morning. Started with 316 books in these stacks behind me. I didn't DNF any this week. I'm keeping 3 of those books, putting them in the library. I got 4 books in the mail, which brings us to a grand total of 313 to start out week 3. Week 3, it's gonna be my birthday week, and the theme itself is gonna be chaotic, and I'm very excited. Thanks for watching week 2 of my TBR challenge. I'll see you next week.